Hey there friends, it's Megan Andrew with you today on the SCT YouTube channel, and I am talking all about coloring today. I'm going to be using some OLO alcohol markers along with some awesome products from Ranger Ink and Simon Hurley. I can't wait to show you how I created these fun cards. Today I'm going to be using the Silly Goose Stamp and Die bundle from Simon Hurley Create and Ranger Ink. And I chose it not only because of the cutest geese ever, but because it has nice thin lines and it's quite open, so easy to color. I also have the birthday party bundle, and this one doesn't have any cute geese on it, but it does have cakes and presents and balloons. So I have the coordinating dies for both of these sets, and I'm so excited to use them. If I'm going to sit down to color, I like to color a lot of images at once. So I put all of the geese and a cake on my piece of white cardstock here. And this is SCT exclusive cover cardstock, which I love. I'm going to be embossing these images. So I'm using some Tailored Expressions embossing powder primer to get my cardstock ready. Then I'm going to use some Ranger embossing ink. Before I do that though, I'm going to wipe off that stamp to make sure any of the oils that come from the manufacturing process are off. I'm going to use my Ranger embossing ink there to ink up my stamps really, really well so that they're nice and juicy before I stamp those images. And to really make sure that I get those stamped well, I'm going to use a pressing tool to kind of push down on the image with my MISTI, and I'm going to re-ink up and do it again. Next, I'm using Ranger embossing powder in gunmetal, and this is a nice dark gray. And I love embossing the images that I'm going to be coloring because it gives that nice raised edge that helps you stay in the lines, and it also makes it look really nice when you're done too. I'm doing the exact same thing with the birthday party stamp here, and I'm going to use the presents and the cake to go through the same exact process. If you are not going to emboss your images that you are going to color with alcohol markers, be sure that you choose an alcohol-friendly ink to stamp your images. So I'm going to use the same gunmetal powder here, and then I'm going to heat set all of my images before we start coloring. I like to die cut my images right after I stamp them and before I color. So I'm going to use all of the coordinating dies to cut out all of my geese and the cake, the balloons, and the presents from the Silly Goose and the birthday party sets. And I'm using mint tape from scrapbook.com to keep all of those in place. To keep all of my die cuts in place while I color, I love using a sticky mat, and this one from Altenew is perfect for all of my images. One thing that I really love about OLO markers are their colors, and there are 32 beautiful new colors to explore as well. So now it's time for me to color with these fantastic OLO markers, and you can find all of the colors that I used in today's blog post linked in the video description below. I love OLO markers, and they're my first alcohol marker purchase. In each half marker, because two halves fit together, you get two colors on one full marker. In each half marker, you get 2 mils of ink, and that's a lot of ink compared to the other alcohol markers. And because of that, these markers are a really great value for the money. You also get to use over 90% of the ink in these markers, which does not happen with typical alcohol markers. You can choose a chisel or a brush nib, and the colors are fantastic. And there's 32 new ones. So you can see here that I have colored my geese with kind of an almond color, and I've added some shading around their breast and tummies and wings. It's really easy to do this with these OLO markers. I find that it's easier when I'm coloring a lot of different elements to use the same color over all of the elements before I switch colors. So I colored in all of the geese's bodies, then their beaks, and then I'm going to choose a blue color here to start coloring all the things that I want to color blue, starting with that present. Then I'm moving to that cute hat on that goose there. I'm sticking with primary colors for this one. And because most of the images on this stamp are quite small, there isn't a lot of shading required. So this is the perfect stamp set for a new colorer, which I am. I still find some shading a bit difficult, especially when you have a really wide open, large space to shade in. So these smaller elements are really helpful for me to get the hang of. So I'm going to use that red marker across all of the images and not switch until I am done with red fully. Yellow is next, and I'm going to make this cake a really pretty yellow color as well as my balloon. So when I color the cake, I'm starting with the lightest color, then I'm switching to the slightly darker yellow to shade in on the side so it looks like that cake is three-dimensional. Then I'm going to go back over it with the lighter color again. I'm going to color in the stripes but not add any shading there. But the balloon, because it's round, I'm going to start with that lightest color and then take the darker color just along that left edge so that there's a shadow there. So that will really accentuate the roundness of that balloon. I'm also going to color in this present and add some shading around the edges. Going back to blue here because I decided that I do want this present to be blue. So I'm going to add that here and then shade in the edges of that one too. I thought I would throw in a bit of pink here because I thought it would be a nice accent with the red, the yellow, and the blue. And I am adding some shading along the edges of that pink present too. I almost forgot the geese's feet, so I had to go back in and add that slight touch of orange there. And you can see I'm using just a half marker here. So when you have two half markers and you connect them with a connector, that makes a full size marker. Now all of my elements are colored and I have just embossed a few background panels and chosen exactly the same colors that I used on my elements for my card backgrounds. I'm just going to add some dimensional foam adhesive from Scrapbook Adhesives by 3L to pop up all of these elements. I took the time to color them, so I do want them to stand out from the card background. I'm starting with these cute presents from the birthday party stamp set, and my silly goose is going to be standing on top of my blue present, popping a party popper. These two cute geese are going to be inspecting the presents here on this card. And on this one, I've used some dies from Spellbinders to create a nice frame around these two cute geese. One of them is giving the birthday goose his birthday balloon, and they're celebrating with cake. On each of these cards, I used one of my favorite embossing folders from Spellbinders, Floating Balloons. Okay, for this one, I decided that I did want my sentiment included next to the geese. So I'm taking a big chance here, a big risk, and I am stamping that. But thank goodness for the Misty because it turned out perfectly. This little goose is going to have the cue the confetti sentiment. And of course, we're going to have to add some confetti to the card. And these two cute geese are going to have thanks for your generosity. So it can make a great birthday thank you card. So I'm adding that confetti there so it looks like his party popper is popping out colorful confetti in red, yellow, and blue. And I think that this is just the perfect final touch for this card. My generous geese over here are just going to get a few silver sequins, so I'm going to kind of scatter them and then place them around the card. This cute card is going to get a few pink gems from Buttons Galore and more because the cake is both pink and yellow, so I thought it would be a nice accent there. When I sit down to color, I love to color a lot in one go, and I just loved using the Silly Goose and birthday party sets here to create not one, not two, but 3 lovely birthday cards using products from Ranger Ink and the amazing OLO markers. I am having so much fun using these OLO markers. I'm learning something new every time I color with them, and I just think that they make it so effortless to create beautiful cards. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to check out today's blog post to find all of the products that I used in this video, and happy creating, SCT friends.